Guys, it's Dmitry here again, and today I will continue to talk about JavaScript. And essentially, the next topic that I'm going to talk about, it's called variables and constants, and the difference between them. And also there are so many different details about this topic or regarding this topic. So let's jump into that, and I'm going to discuss about all of that. Okay, you can see here it's that's how you define in the actual variable, right? So idea is when you specify let and then the name of the variable, and here that's the actual value that's going to be assigned to this variable. The important thing to understand, in JavaScript we're not specifying any types, right, of variable. When we declare a variable, we're not specifying type, which is not the case in the majority of languages. In case of JavaScript, it's smart enough to understand the type of value when it's going to be stored in this variable. For instance, in this case, it's string. When we store in string to this variable, then it's going to be stored as a string, right? And the same in case of number. Another important thing to understand, this keyword let means that this variable, another value can be assigned to this variable. Okay, let's try. Let's type name and define a new value. Save it and run it. By the way, guys, that's how you log out the variable, right? You don't need to specify or to place it in the quotes. In this case, when you place in something in the quotes, JavaScript it's treating it as a string, not as a variable, right? So that's why you have to do that. So let's run it. And you can see, guys, what happened is, again, another value was assigned to this variable, right, with the same name. So essentially the same variable, because you can see it's the same name, but this value was deleted from this variable, and this value was new value was assigned to this variable. So and essentially, again, the program, it's running from top to the bottom. So that's why we see what we see, right? Which is another value, which is Anton, the final value, which was assigned to this variable. Pretty cool. So another thing that I would like to discuss about, which is, I'm going to give you an example. Okay, let's do that. Define a new variables. Let's say number 1 equal to 20. Okay, let's say 40. And number 2 equals to 20. And what I would like to do here, I would like to say number 1 plus number 2. And essentially, guys, okay, let's run it first, I guess. So totally unpredictable result, right? It's not what we predicted here. The result should be 60, right? But what happened is, because we place it in the quotes here, these values, they treat it as strings, not as numbers. That's the issue. So, and what happened is the operation concatenation was performed, right? It just concatenated these two strings. this one, and then this one, right? You just combine them. So in order to find the actual summation, or to perform like adding operation, you have to remove these quotes. So now it's going to show you the actual number, right? The final number, which is 60. Okay, let's try. So here we go, guys. So you should remember about that. It's really important. Cool. So another thing is, guys, you can see here I'm using capital letter, right? It's so-called camel cases. So the camel case style, right, of defining variable. So I kind of like this style, and I found like usually in companies that's approach majority of software developers are using. So, and yeah, it's up to you. Look, it's you don't need to specify like that. Even if you're not defining this way, it's still going to work. But you cannot define like the space here, so it's impossible. So it will give you an error. You shouldn't do that. So alright, guys, another thing that I would like to discuss about, it's const, right? Const. What is the difference between, like, okay, if you specify like const and for instance define like score equal to 10, for example. What happens is this const, it says, or it gives to JavaScript an instruction that this score should not be reassigned, or the value shouldn't be reassigned, right? So at the beginning you assign this value to this score, and later on if you try to do that, score equal to, and you just try to assign another number, it will not happen, right? It will give you an exception. Let's try. So assignment to constant variable. So what happened is this variable is constant. You cannot reassign the value, right? That's the main difference. And to be honest with you guys, usually in a real life, while working in the company, usually we're using constants everywhere, because usually we don't need to reassign them, right? And we don't want to corrupt this like original assignment. So that's why we use it, and it's safer, to be honest with you. Like, can you imagine if you just define lets everywhere, and sometimes it's just going to be a nightmare, right? If everything is just data is corrupted, and so what are you going to do in this case? So that's why it's safer to use const, and in some cases you have to use lets if you would like to reassign values, but usually it's const. Okay, pretty cool, guys, pretty cool stuff. So I think basically pretty much that I wanted to discuss about. The only thing is, just remember, guys, keep on practicing, just stick with me, right? Not just watching video, keep on practicing, and remember to perform this kind of exercises yourself. Just delete my code or the syntax that I came up with and try to define your own, and just try to rerun it, right? Okay, let's try. Let's delete it once again, and it should be fine. See? So, and essentially if you try to log out the actual score, you will be able to do that. 60, 10, 60 and 10. So awesome stuff, guys, and you can see, right, the magic of JavaScript. Like, it's quite powerful language, because you don't need to define these types for these variables, which is you know, there are some pros and cons with this concept. In general, I like it, but sometimes it can be really tricky if you know, you will understand yourself one day when you work on a daily basis that sometimes it can be a bit tricky, you know, when you pass in stuff and you don't want it to be corrupted. And in some cases you don't know if you pass string or number, and JavaScript it would allow to pass it anyway, but in case of other languages it wouldn't happen. So that's where the problem starts, right? But in general, I think it's a good thing because we don't need to define extra code, which is a neat approach, I guess. Yeah, so in general, I like it. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Please subscribe, please like it, and yeah, I will continue to produce new videos, new tutorials, and again, it's my passion. I really like, I also really, I mean, I'm in love, to be honest with you. I'm in love with JavaScript. So, and I really like to create, like, to make new videos about this language, because I think this language is really, it's a magical language. It's really powerful. Anyway, enough talking. Thank you, guys, and have a good day, and goodbye. Thank you. Bye bye.